Do you ever think about how your thoughts are influencing you? Many people have no idea or are not aware of how truly powerful your thoughts can be. We've all heard the phrase, the power of thought, but what does that really mean? When I was in college, the power of thought was something that I began to think about on my own. For me personally, college was a tough time. Part of that was because COVID decided to hit right on my 21st birthday, which was absolutely perfect timing. And of course, combined with my parents getting divorced, obviously, that was not great. I still had a great deal of fun, don't get me wrong, but I was struggling a lot during that time. But, anyways, in college and for most of my childhood, I typically tended to get in my head a lot, which would cause me to have my thoughts start to spiral out of control and ultimately lead me down a path that was not where I wanted to be. So after I went home because of COVID and finally being fed up with getting in my head so much and making things worse, I decided that I had to do something about it. So after about a month of being into the lockdowns, one day I remember my brother came to me and was telling me, Chris, you gotta watch this podcast with me. And since I didn't really have much to do during the lockdowns, I said, sure, why not? I'll watch this podcast with you. We went down to the basement to watch the podcast, and I immediately fell in love and related to what was being said on this podcast. The podcast we were watching was the School of Greatness podcast by Lewis Howes, and it's amazing for personal development, and I would highly recommend it if you want to do more personal development work and learn more about that. The guest that he had on his podcast was a guy named Dr. Joe Dispenza. And he started out the podcast by talking about how he got into a biking accident while completing a triathlon where he basically broke his spine. So after he broke his spine, he had to go to a bunch of different doctors, and they basically all told him that they were going to have to put, I believe, a metal rod or something in his spine so that he could, not have his back broken anymore. But for some reason, Joe decided that he did not want to do this surgery, even though every doctor was saying that he should be getting it. And so what he did instead was he somehow was thinking about how there's this intelligent energy that is governed by everything in the world. And what he decided to do was he started to try and get out of his mind and try and focus on healing his spine for himself. And so he was bedridden and he was getting frustrated and whatnot. And ultimately, what he ended up doing was he imagined himself aligning his spine and putting all the vertebrae back in order. And for 6.5 weeks, nothing was really happening. But